You bought it or maybe someone gave it to you. A gift, a symbol of protection. A little green stone that promised calm, prosperity, and luck. Jade. For years, it's been seen as a blessing, something to keep close, to display proudly in the home. And for many, it truly is a treasure. But for others, it quietly shifts the energy in the opposite direction. If you've been feeling off lately, like your money disappears faster than it used to, like the rooms in your house feel heavier, or like something's just not flowing right, it might be time to look closer at that jade piece. Sitting in the corner, on your shelf, or even on your wrist. This isn't about fear or superstition. It's about noticing what's been happening around you. Because jade doesn't work the same for everyone. That's the part no one talks about. You hear it's a lucky stone, but rarely do people ask, lucky for who? The truth is, jade amplifies energy. It doesn't choose good or bad, it reflects and expands what's already there. And if what's there is stress, grief, or stagnation, then that's exactly what you may end up feeling more of. Think back. Has your financial situation changed since bringing jade into your space? Has the air in your home felt less light, less alive? Has rest become harder, conversations quieter, or clarity harder to find? These aren't coincidences. They're clues. I'm not saying jade is the problem. I'm saying it might be the mirror. And if what it's reflecting doesn't align with what you want to feel, then maybe it's time to move it, cleanse it, or let it go. Because sometimes, the smallest object in the room carries the heaviest energy. And no one ever teaches us how to notice that, until something starts slipping. Part 1: The strange gift and what came after. It usually begins as something thoughtful, a small box wrapped carefully. A gift meant to protect, to wish someone well, to say I want good things for you. Jade often enters a home this way, not as a purchase made in doubt, but as a gesture filled with intention. That's why people rarely question it. They place it on a dresser, slip it onto a wrist, or set it quietly on a shelf, trusting that something good has arrived. And for a while, nothing seems wrong. Life continues. Bills get paid, mornings come and go. But slowly, almost politely, something begins to shift. I want you to picture this clearly. A woman in her late 50s, living a familiar American life. A modest home, a steady routine. Adult children finding their own way. She receives a jade bracelet from a relative, someone she once felt close to, but whose relationship has grown complicated over the years. The bracelet is beautiful, cool to the touch, solid. She wears it without hesitation because it feels meaningful. Because gifts like this are supposed to carry care, not consequence. And at first, nothing dramatic happens. No sudden loss, no obvious warning. Just small changes that are easy to dismiss. Her sleep becomes lighter. She wakes up earlier than usual, often with a sense that something unfinished is waiting for her. Money starts to feel tighter. Not because of reckless spending, but because of little leaks and unexpected repair. A medical bill that insurance doesn't fully cover. A helping hand extended to a child who needs support again. Conversations in the house feel shorter. The air feels heavier in the evenings, like the rooms are holding on to the day instead of letting it go. None of this feels alarming on its own. That's the important part. It feels normal enough to ignore. This is where jade becomes misunderstood. People expect bad luck to be loud. They expect a clear cause and effect. But jade doesn't disrupt, it settles. It doesn't create chaos. It deepens whatever is already present. If a home carries unresolved stress, old grief, or quiet financial worry, jade doesn't dissolve those things. It reflects them back, steadily and persistently, like a mirror that never blinks. That woman didn't lose money overnight. She lost ease. She lost flow. And once flow is gone, money often follows. Months later, she decides to move. Nothing dramatic, just downsizing, simplifying, doing what many Americans do at that stage of life. During the packing, the bracelet is set aside. Forgotten. Left in a drawer that doesn't make it into the moving boxes. She doesn't think much of it. But in the weeks after settling into the new place, something changes again. Sleep becomes deeper. The constant low-level worry eases. Expenses stabilize. There's no miracle. No sudden wealth, just a sense that life is no longer pressing down as hard as it was before. Only then does she remember the bracelet. This is not a story about blame or superstition. It's about awareness. Jade didn't cause her problems, and leaving it behind didn't magically fix her life. What it did was remove a constant reinforcement of an emotional state she had been living in without realizing it. The jade had been amplifying what surrounded it. The unspoken tension tied to the person who gave it, the worries she carried quietly, the habit of holding on instead of releasing. Once that amplifier was gone, her space had room to breathe again. Many people watching this may recognize pieces of their own story here. A gift from a complicated relationship. An object kept out of obligation rather than joy. A sense that finances feel heavier than they should, even when nothing looks wrong on paper. In American culture, we're taught to be practical, to look for clear explanations. We don't often consider how our environment supports or drains us emotionally. But the truth is, our homes are not neutral. They respond to what we bring into them. This is why jade isn't lucky for everyone. Not because it's harmful, but because it's honest. It reflects the state of a home and the person living in it. If you're in a season of clarity, growth, and openness, jade can feel grounding. But if you're in a season of transition, unresolved emotion, or quiet financial anxiety, it can lock those patterns in place longer than necessary. The point here isn't to create fear or encourage people to throw things away impulsively. It's to invite you to notice, to ask when that jade entered your life and what shifted afterward. To consider whether the object you trusted to protect you is actually asking something of you, instead to slow down, to clear space, to release what no longer belongs. Because sometimes, what looks like a blessing is really a pause. And until you recognize it, life can feel like it's moving forward with the brakes slightly on. Part 2: 4 types of people who lose more with Jade. 1. Those who hold on to everything, even sadness. Some people carry the past like a second skin. They keep the birthday cards from 30 years ago. They know exactly where the high school trophy is, even though no one asks. They hold on to broken things with the quiet hope they might fix them someday. But it's not just the objects they hold on to: words never said, apologies never received, and chapters that were supposed to be closed. And when those people bring jade into their space, something subtle but powerful happens. The energy around them begins to thicken. Jade, by nature, is a stabilizer. It grounds energy, it anchors emotions, and for someone who already holds everything close, including their grief, jade becomes less of a protective talisman and more of a weight. Not because it's cursed, but because it amplifies what it touches. So if your home already hums with unshed tears, with memories tucked into drawers, and closets that feel more like archives than storage, jade can make that emotional weight more permanent, less movable. In American homes, we're taught to value sentiment. We preserve, we display, we pass down. But rarely do we ask if these things still speak to the life we're living now. It's not just a photo. It's a version of yourself you don't relate to anymore. It's not just a wedding dress in plastic, it's a dream that ended, quietly, but never got released. And jade, when placed among these items, begins to echo them. It absorbs the nostalgia, the melancholy, the almosts and could-have beens, and then it holds them in place. That's when money starts to feel stuck. Not gone, but slowed. You find yourself paying for things that never resolve. Small repairs that keep returning, unexpected charges, or worse, opportunities that slip past, not because you're doing something wrong, but because the energy around you isn't flowing. It's circling, and jade, meant to steady you, instead keeps you anchored in a version of your life you were supposed to move through, not stay in. There's a woman I once knew who had an entire cabinet of her mother's things. Her mother had passed 10 years earlier, but nothing was moved. The slippers, the perfume bottles, the little dish of rings untouched. In the center of that cabinet was a piece of jade her mother wore every day. The woman kept it there, out of respect, out of love, out of guilt. But as the years passed, her own finances became tangled. Every time she tried to move forward, something pulled back. She felt like she was trying to grow inside a room that wouldn't let her change the furniture. When she finally decided to clear the cabinet, not throw it away, just gently sort, wrap, and release, something shifted. She didn't even realize it until weeks later. A freelance opportunity she had long given up on came through. A credit card debt was forgiven in a way she didn't expect, and she slept deeply for the first time in months. The Jade wasn't the villain, but it had been holding space for energy that no longer belonged. If you're someone who keeps everything, every letter, every voicemail, every relic of who you were or who you lost, Jade may not be what you need right now. Because what you actually need is movement, lightness, space. Jade is a beautiful stone for grounding, but not for someone who is already too rooted in the past. That's where its power becomes a pause instead of a support. And that pause can quietly affect how energy, money, and even relationships flow through your life. Let me be clear, there is nothing wrong with being sentimental. There is beauty in memory, in honoring what shaped you. But there is also grace in letting go, not to erase, but to evolve. If you've brought Jade into your life, and things have felt more stagnant, more cluttered, emotionally or financially, it may not be because you've done anything wrong. It may simply be that you've held on for too long. And Jade holds on with you. The question is, do you still want to? Because when your home reflects a version of you that no longer exists, every step forward feels heavier than it needs to be. And sometimes, all it takes is one small shift, removing one stone, one object, one weight, for everything else to begin moving again. Women who've lived alone for too long and hear sounds at night. There's a kind of quiet that doesn't feel peaceful. It creeps in after the dishwasher hums its last cycle and the hallway light clicks off. It's not silence, it's something else. A faint thud, a creak in the floorboards, the subtle shift of air where no one is standing. For women who have lived alone for a long time, especially in homes filled with memories but not voices, this quiet becomes its own kind of presence. Not threatening, just there, lingering. You don't talk about it because it sounds silly. You tell yourself it's the wind, the pipes, the house settling. And most of the time, it probably is. But there's a small part of you, quiet, but aware, that knows the house feels different now. And sometimes, it's not just the house. It's what you've placed inside of it. Jade, in its essence, is a stone of stillness. It holds energy, grounds it, stabilizes it. But in a home where movement has faded, where laughter, footsteps, and the noise of life used to echo, Jade can begin to settle into that stillness a little too deeply. For women who've lived alone long enough to know every sound by heart, Jade can become something that doesn't just sit in a drawer or on a shelf. It begins to anchor that loneliness. At first, it feels like stability, something grounding in a space that sometimes feels too open. But slowly, you might begin to notice the space feels heavier. That time stretches differently in the evenings. That you're tired even when you've done nothing to earn the fatigue. You might find yourself double-checking locks more often, leaving a hallway light on, sleeping with the TV on low, just so the silence doesn't feel so complete. And you can't explain why. But the Jade piece, whether it's a bracelet on the dresser or a polished stone by the window, starts to feel more like a presence than a possession. This isn't superstition. It's energy. It's the reality that everything we place in our homes absorbs a part of us. And when a space is quiet for too long, energy doesn't move, it lingers. And Jade, in its loyal way, will hold it right there with you. There's a woman I spoke with once who had lived alone for over 12 years after her husband passed. Her home was tidy, beautiful, full of light, but she admitted only in a whisper that she hated the nights. She said the house remembered things. She wore a small piece of jade on a chain, gifted by her daughter. It had been meant to comfort her. But over time, she said it began to feel like the stone was keeping her company. And not always in a good way. She started hearing things. Not voices, just sounds that didn't belong. A soft tapping, the faint shuffle of fabric, It was always just after midnight. When she finally took off the necklace and put it away, she didn't expect anything to change. But the sound stopped. The house felt lighter. And for the first time in years, she left her bedroom door open at night. Jade isn't doing anything to you, but it's doing something with you. If your home is filled with too much stillness, Jade may not be helping. It may be settling into that silence, reflecting it back, holding it closer. And that kind of reflection night after night can create an emotional echo. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And those whispers are the ones that keep you up. For women who've lived alone for too long, the question is not whether Jade is safe. It's whether it's serving you. Does it bring lightness into your home, or does it deepen the silence? Does it help you feel supported or more alone? If the presence of something in your space makes the nights feel longer, it might be time to let it rest elsewhere. Not out of fear, but out of love for yourself. Because you deserve rest that feels restful. Silence that feels gentle. A home that breathes with you, not just holds the weight of what's been lost. And sometimes, all it takes to shift that energy is to move one thing. One small object. One stone that's been too still for too long. 3. Those going through divorce, financial confusion, or emotional fog. Some seasons of life feel like walking through fog. You go through the motions, making the coffee, answering emails, paying the bills, but it all feels a step removed. Like you're watching yourself from a distance. Decisions feel harder. Time stretches and contracts. You forget things you've always remembered, and remember things you wish you could forget. It's the season of not knowing where your footing feels loose, your direction unclear, and everything around you seems to echo back uncertainty. Divorce, financial instability, emotional overwhelm, they don't always arrive with fanfare. Sometimes they just settle in, like a quiet guest that overstays its welcome. And it's during these moments when life feels out of your control that you reach for anything that promises grounding. Stability, something to hold on to. For many, Jade feels like that anchor. A stone with history, meaning, and weight. You wear it. You place it on your nightstand. You let it sit beside your checkbook, or in that small dish on the kitchen counter. It's supposed to help. It's supposed to center you. But here's the thing, Jade doesn't neutralize the storm, it mirrors the weather. Jade is not a fixer. It's a magnifier. And when your energy is uncertain, torn between survival mode and numbness, Jade holds that frequency in place. It doesn't judge, it simply reflects. But that reflection can create a loop. The more you spiral emotionally, the more Jade reinforces that vibration. The house starts to feel stagnant. Opportunities stall. Conversations feel disconnected. You're not sinking, exactly, you're circling, treading water emotionally, while Jade quietly anchors you in the same energetic spot. I once worked with a woman who had filed for divorce. After 28 years of marriage, her husband had been the financial driver of the household. She had never paid a bill on her own. She found herself surrounded by paperwork, passwords, insurance decisions, and a mortgage she didn't know how to manage. She wore a jade pendant daily, something she bought to protect her energy through the transition. But 6 months in, she told me something wasn't right. Every time she wore the jade, she felt heavier, more overwhelmed. And her finances, though not catastrophic, were in constant disarray. Small things, double charges, lost statements, delays in payments. She took the necklace off one day just to test the feeling. Within 2 weeks, her clarity began to return. She started tackling tasks one by one. Her sleep improved, she even smiled more. When she held the jade again, she realized something. She had worn it during a state of fear, and it had preserved that state. This is what so many don't realize. Objects absorb the emotion of the moment they are claimed. If you buy jade while grieving, it will remember that grief. If you wear it while overwhelmed, it stores that overwhelm. Not because it's haunted or harmful, but because it is stable. And what you give it, it holds. So if you are in a chapter of life marked by upheaval, divorce, job loss, financial stress, or emotional confusion, jade might not be the ally you think it is. It's not that it makes things worse. It's that it doesn't help you move. And during times like these, what you need most is movement. You need to clear space, shift energy, let go of objects tied to a version of yourself that was surviving, not thriving. That includes Jade, if it was introduced into your life as a tool of protection during chaos. Because sometimes, what protects you during crisis becomes what traps you in its memory. The real work is in noticing, in asking, what did I bring into my life during that storm? And do I still need it now that I'm learning to breathe again? If Jade was there for your breakdown, it might not be needed for your rebuild. You deserve clarity. You deserve flow. You deserve to look around your home and feel that nothing is quietly holding you back. Not the memories, not the fear, and not the objects that silently agreed to carry it all. So ask yourself, if you placed Jade into your life during a moment of confusion, is it still helping you or simply holding you in place? Because healing isn't about holding tighter. Sometimes, it's about knowing when to let go. 4. Homes with dead clocks or wilted plants that no one throws away. Every home has its quiet corners. The shelf no one dusts. The plant that's half alive but still standing. The clock that stopped ticking months ago but still hangs on the wall. Because no one's gotten around to changing the battery. These things seem small, unimportant. Life moves fast, and we tell ourselves we'll fix them eventually. But what most people don't realize is that these little leftovers don't just sit there. They hold, they speak, they store energy, and when you place Jade into a space already filled with stillness, decay, or forgotten things, it doesn't bring new energy in, it locks in what's already there. Jade, by nature, is a stabilizer. It wants to hold things steady, but it can't tell the difference between what's sacred and what's stagnant. It holds what surrounds it. So if the room holds silence, the Jade holds silence. If the house holds energy that's paused, or broken, or neglected, Jade preserves that pause. That's where things start to feel stuck, not in dramatic, obvious ways, but in that low-grade, hard-to-name heaviness. Finances don't collapse, they just trickle. Motivation doesn't vanish, it dulls. Time doesn't stop, but the days blur together. And the source? It might be something as quiet as a stopped clock. I once visited a client's home where everything looked beautiful on the surface. Clean, well decorated, full of thoughtful objects. But I noticed 3 clocks, none of them worked. One had stopped at 4:27. Another blinked 12:0 over and over again. The third just ticked without moving the hands. In the kitchen, a potted plant with brown edges sat near the window. She said she meant to replace it, but it had been there for over a year. On the shelf above, it was a piece of jade, smooth, green, polished, untouched. She'd bought it during a season when she felt lost and thought it would bring grounding. But nothing changed. She was still stuck in the same job, the same emotional limbo, and the same financial strain that had crept in quietly, but stayed loudly. When we started talking about energy, it became clear. Her home wasn't reflecting who she was. It was holding on to who she had been. And the Jade, it wasn't failing her. It was just doing its job, preserving whatever surrounded it, including stillness, including stagnation, including the subtle message nothing is moving here. Dead clocks in a home do more than miss the hour. They signal that time, progress, rhythm, flow is no longer present. Wilted plants speak to neglect, yes, but also to energy that was once thriving and now isn't. And Jade, when placed among these objects, joins their stillness. It becomes part of the energetic pause. Not because it's bad, but because it's loyal. The reason this matters is simple: money, like energy, needs motion. It flows. It responds to environments that are alive, clear, refreshed. When your home sends the message that things aren't moving, money listens. Not dramatically, but steadily. You might feel like you're always catching up, like there's never quite enough. Not because you're failing, but because the energy in your space is quietly reinforcing delay. If you have Jade in a home where clocks don't tick and plants don't grow, ask yourself, what am I letting sit too long? What story is this house still telling, even if I've outgrown it? And is the Jade here to support me, Or is it stuck holding memories that no longer serve? Energy isn't always loud. Often, it whispers. Through forgotten corners. Through items that haven't moved in years. Through objects we think are just there, but are actually holding our emotional weight. So here's the invitation: change the battery. Toss the plant. Let the space breathe again. And if the jade was placed in your home, during a time when things were breaking down, consider moving it to a place where light hits it each morning. Or maybe, just maybe, let it rest elsewhere for a while. Because sometimes the things you don't notice are the very things keeping you where you no longer want to be. And jade, as powerful and beautiful as it is, will never move until you do. Part 3: Where you place jade matters more than you think. Most people don't think twice about where they put their jade. A windowsill, a nightstand, tucked in with jewelry, or displayed on a shelf beside a candle. Simple, quiet places where it seems to belong. But jade is not just decor. It's not a passive ornament. It's an energetic amplifier. And where you place it determines what it absorbs, reflects, and ultimately magnifies in your life. Jade doesn't create energy, it echoes it. That's why placement matters so much more than people realize. It's not just about having jade in your home. It's about what energy it's sitting in, and what part of your life that energy touches. Put it in the wrong place, and jade can become a mirror for the very things you're trying to change. Let's start with one of the most common mistakes: placing jade near a bathroom or directly across from one. It seems harmless, a shelf beside the mirror, or a small stone on a cabinet. But bathrooms, energetically, are spaces of release. They flush energy away literally and symbolically. When you place jade near that flow, especially near drains or toilets, it can become a container for loss. Not dramatic loss, but steady, unnoticed drain money that slips away. Ideas that never come to life, motivation that vanishes before it takes root. Another problematic spot: anywhere close to broken or inactive objects. A jade piece next to a cracked mirror, a drawer full of tangled cords, or a dusty pile of unread papers starts to blend with the stagnation around it. Remember, jade holds the energy of what's nearby, not just what's intended. If you place it next to things you've been avoiding, neglecting, or delaying, don't be surprised if it starts reinforcing that sense of avoidance in your daily life. Placement near old sentimental items can also cause emotional looping. For example, setting jade beside an heirloom you've inherited from someone who brought you both love and unresolved pain. This confuses the energy. The jade can't filter what's beautiful from what's unfinished. It holds all of it. And when you're trying to move forward financially, emotionally, spiritually, this kind of mix keeps you circling in place. Even placing jade too high or too low affects its impact. When placed high above eye level, it disconnects from daily flow. It becomes aesthetic, not energetic. When placed too low on the floor, beneath clutter, it gets buried in stagnation. Ideally, jade should live at a level where it can breathe, touched by light, surrounded by space, respected like something alive. A windowsill that gets morning light, a small clear tray near your workspace, a bedside table free of digital clutter. These are places jade can settle and serve. There's a story of a woman who had kept her jade tucked into a small wooden box inside a closet, beneath a pile of scarves she hadn't worn in years. She said it was safe there. But nothing about that energy was safe. It was silent, compressed, forgotten. And so was she. In a way, her creativity had dried up, her relationships had gone cold, and her finances were frozen in survival mode. When she finally moved the jade, placing it on a small dish by her kitchen window, where the morning light touched it, she reported subtle but steady change. She cooked more. She wrote again. An old friend called. Nothing magical, just movement, just flow. So here's what I want you to ask yourself right now: where is your jade? What is it sitting near? What part of your home's energy is it soaking in? Because even if you love the stone, even if it was gifted with the best intention, it can only give back what it's been absorbing. And if that answer doesn't feel aligned, if that corner is dim, cluttered, ignored, it might be time to move it. Not discard it, just relocate it. Let it sit somewhere new, where energy is alive and forward-moving. Where it's not holding on to the past. Where it's not too quiet for too long. Because Jade listens. And where you place, it becomes the story it keeps telling on your behalf. Part 4: How to cleanse Jade if you want to keep it. If you've been listening closely, you already know Jade isn't just a pretty stone, it's a keeper of energy. It remembers, it holds, it amplifies. And just like anything that absorbs from its surroundings like a sponge left out too long, it needs to be cleansed. Not because it's dirty, not because it's bad, but because even the most grounding objects can become overwhelmed if they've been sitting in the wrong energy for too long. If you've sensed stagnation, heaviness, or misalignment, but you still want to keep your Jade, this part is for you. Cleansing Jade isn't about rituals or superstition. It's about giving the object a chance to return to its natural state. It's about releasing the emotional fingerprints it has and inviting it to serve you from a fresh, neutral place. The process is simple, but it must be done with intention. Start with water. But not just any water, avoid the tap if possible. Use spring water, rainwater, or still water you've let sit overnight. This isn't about purity, it's about presence. Rinse the Jade under this water gently, like you're washing away stories it's been carrying. Hold it in your hand. Be still. Say nothing, or say everything, but let the moment feel real. This isn't cleaning, this is releasing. Next, place your Jade where light touches softly. Morning light is best, gentle, renewing, not too harsh. A windowsill that catches sunrise, or a shaded spot in your garden. Let it sit there for at least 3 mornings. Not just for the light, but for the air, the space, the sense of openness. Jade heals in quiet exposure, not in darkness, not under pressure. After that, consider wrapping your Jade in natural fabric, a piece of cotton or silk, ideally white or off-white, and let it rest for 7 days. Don't wear it. Don't place it near electronics or clutter. This is its time to reset, a pause, a breath. If your Jade was connected to a difficult chapter, a loss, a divorce, a financial struggle, write down 1 sentence on a small piece of paper, something you are ready to let go of. Fold it once. Place it under the Jade during its rest. Then burn or bury the paper afterward. Not for magic, for movement, for closure. This is how we begin again, not by throwing things away, but by giving them space to transform. Jade deserves that, and so do you. When you return it to your space, choose the new spot with care. Somewhere light reaches. Somewhere that feels calm, not forgotten. Somewhere your current self feels welcome, not just your past self. And before you wear it again, hold it for a moment. Feel what's changed, not just in the Jade, but in you. Because sometimes it's not about letting go. Sometimes it's about returning with clarity, with choice, with intention. Your Jade doesn't just carry energy, it responds to yours. And when you treat it like something alive, something real, it becomes more than a stone. It becomes a partner in your space, a witness to your growth, not a container for your past. So cleanse it, reclaim it, let it begin again, just like you. Final. So maybe Jade isn't lucky for everyone. Maybe it's not meant to be, because luck isn't a one-size-fits-all promise, it's a reflection. And Jade, in its quiet, unassuming way, simply holds a mirror to the life around it. If that life is cluttered with unresolved memories, if the silence in your home has grown too thick, or if you've been carrying a season of uncertainty longer than your hands can hold, Jade will not fix it. It will simply sit beside you and carry it too. What you've heard today isn't about fear. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing the subtle, unseen ways our surroundings shape us, not dramatically, not overnight, but gently, persistently. A misplaced stone, a forgotten object, a corner of the home that hasn't breathed in years. These things matter not because they're magical, but because you are. Your home responds to you. Your energy, your healing, your stillness. And Jade, as ancient and beautiful as it is, listens more than it speaks. So ask yourself again, what has my Jade been holding? And more importantly, what do I want it to hold from here on out? If you've stayed with me through this journey, Thank you. Thank you for being open, for listening, for looking inward not with judgment, but with curiosity. That's where change begins. And wherever you are, whether you're healing from something heavy, starting over, or simply trying to make sense of the space around you, I hope you know this: you're not stuck. You're just in a pause. And even a small shift, a moved stone, a cleared shelf, a breath of light can begin the flow again. So here's to your clarity, to the energy that lifts, not holds, to the version of you that knows when to keep and when to let go. Take care of yourself. Take care of your space. And when you're ready, let the light back in. Thank you for being here. And may your home always speak gently back to you.